30.5k in. I don't know what happened, like, Yep. Firstly, I just want to thank everybody who supported this series here on YouTube, and the amount of people that were calling my name out on the course or coming up to me saying that they watched the videos was crazy. Also, thank you to everyone that sent kind messages telling me to keep my head up and look towards the future. I honestly really appreciated those messages, and it really meant a lot to me. Okay, so that obviously didn't go to plan. There's one thing that I've learned from the marathon. It's that when it's going good, hell, it's going great. It's the best feeling in the world. But when it's not going so good, it is honestly hell on earth and completely breaks you. And you can probably guess which one I experienced over the weekend. If you haven't already seen by now, I DNF'd the Noosa marathon at 30 Ks. And the reasons for that, I'm still not completely sure. There is a few things that might have contributed to the day, but I still haven't really found the cause. What I do know is that my body just weirdly didn't turn up for me on race day. I've never felt as bad as I did and as early as I did in any other race that I've done before. And I've never experienced anything quite like this in any of my previous marathons. I know for a fact that I am fitter and stronger than I've ever been before, so how can the race go so horribly wrong? Well, let's get into exactly that. So pre-race, the morning just started the same as any other marathon race day morning. I got up early, had my fueling, I had my hydration, and then I arrived to the event about 60 minutes before it started. The weather was sitting at 17 degrees and the humidity was actually 98%, which I didn't know at the time. At this stage, I was feeling really good and 2:45 was pretty much the only thing on my mind. I finished my stretches, finished my warm up, and then there was just nothing left to do but run. The gun goes off and we started right on pace. A little bit hot, but this is always how it goes at the start of a marathon. You always start a little bit hot and try to bank some extra time for when shit gets real at the back end of the marathon. First 5 kilometers felt a lot harder than they should have, and they felt a lot harder than when I was running marathon pace in sessions. And I could tell that it was humid because I looked at Tomo and we were very sweaty. Like, we both had a little laugh to ourselves about how sweaty we were. There wasn't much choice out there for packs. We found ourselves running next to a group that was passing us, and we asked them what pace they were going for, and they said that they were going for 240 to 245. And ultimately we decided that was a little bit hot, so we decided not to go with the pack. Just because they were running like 340 to 345 per K, and we were already clocking some 348 splits that were already a little bit hot, so we decided not to go with the pack. So that means that Tomo and I were alone from 6 kilometers in, which is already not a good sign. We were on good pace around the 7 kilometer mark, holding about 350 average, 352 average, still with a bit of time banked up. And then Tomo decided to go on ahead and push the pace a little bit and try to catch up to the group that was in front. And ultimately I decided to stay running 350s just because 350s already felt like I was running at my limit, and I didn't want to speed up the blow up that I could feel was already sort of coming. So a solo marathon from 7 Ks. I knew this was going to be a tough day. Funny but not funny story, Tomo actually did end up catching that front pack after, I don't know how many Ks it was, but he was gradually catching them. And just as he caught them, they surged and they picked up the pace. So he was left solo again. And I think that contributed a little bit to Tomo's blow up and his DNF as well. But yeah, funny story, but obviously, yeah, not funny. Look, I specifically remember getting to the 8 kilometer mark and feeling a cramp in my hamstring. And I just couldn't understand what was going on with my body. Like, my legs, my calves were noticeably fatigued and tired from about 5K in, and then this cramp in my hamstring. I was like, what the hell is going on? I had a cramp fix, that really salty sort of gel in case of emergencies for the deep end of the marathon. I literally had that at 8Ks to try to combat this this cramp that I could feel coming on. So cramping, fatigue, and a 180 beat heart rate. But somehow I was still managing to hold on to goal marathon pace. So 8 to 16 Ks, solo, fatigued, cramping. This is what I like to call my denial phase of the marathon. This is where I was still hopeful of hitting 2:45, and the positive self-talk was at an all-time high. I was in complete and utter denial that I wasn't feeling as shithouse as I was. I was holding on to a dream, really. My 16 kilometer split was 3:56. This was my first split that was over the goal pace, and this really hurt my confidence. And this is where I shifted my goal from sub 2:45 to just getting a PB. The next 4Ks, I could feel my pace slipping with each kilometer split, and the fatigue was just starting to compound and build with each kilometer that went by. You know that feeling that you get of dead, fatigued, just nothing left, heavy legs that you get 35 plus deep into the marathon? That's the feeling I was getting from like 16 kilometers onwards. Why at this stage my legs just decided to give me absolutely nothing? Look, I'm still trying to figure that one out. The dream was over and it had now turned just to survival. I was hobbling my way through each kilometer, and all I was thinking was, far out, if the last 10 Ks felt this bad, what is the final 10 Ks of this marathon gonna feel like? I honestly didn't want to think about it. The next 10 Ks were fucked, for lack of a better word. I got hit by my infamous hamstring sniper, and there was multiple times where I was walking. I never thought that I would be the person on the side of the road walking in a marathon. But man, walking on the side of the road, watching people running past in a marathon, it just felt so demoralizing, and I honestly felt like such a failure. I've never experienced anything quite like it before. Honestly, I just couldn't believe how fucked I was this early into the run. Like, I've run faster in half marathons and been 100 times less fucked. Michaela was waiting for me in the same spot each time I went through, so I knew that she was coming up, and I had been fighting the urge to DNF when I saw her, pretty much for 4Ks leading up to when I saw her. Then I had a final hill before I got to her, up a bridge, and when I was hitting 5:30, like I was struggling to even hit 5:30 pace going up this hill, I knew that my race was done. And when I got over the hill down to Michaela and I saw Tomo had DNF'd as well, that just confirmed it for me and my choice was made. Not gonna lie, I was sad that I pulled out. I was sad that Tomo pulled out, but I was a little bit relieved when I saw Tomo had DNF'd as well, because it made my decision a little bit easier. And yeah, I was a little bit less depressed that we both failed together. I played around with the idea of maybe finishing the marathon, but ultimately just decided to DNF and thought there was not really any point me just pushing through such a battle of like barely even being able to move my legs. Like every time I would lift my heel too high, I would cramp in my hamstring or I'd cramp in my hip flexors. And ultimately just decided that it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth pushing through the pain, wasn't worth maybe injuring myself. And I don't need like validation of finishing this marathon to know that I'm a good runner. Ultimately, I made it 30.56 kilometers in 2 hours and 8 minutes, and I ran an average of 4 minutes, 12 seconds per kilometer. I got a taste of my first ever DNF, and I'm actually pretty happy with how I dealt with it all. I'm genuinely hungrier and more motivated than ever now. And I know that I'm fit enough to run 2:45. I just need a few more things to go my way on race day so I can have a proper crack. So yeah, that's the breakdown of my 30K longie. No, my Noosa marathon DNF. Obviously not ideal, but we move. So why do I think it happens? I've thought really long and hard about this, and the most annoying part is I don't actually have a decisive answer about what went wrong on race day. But there's a few things I've narrowed it down to, things that may or may not have contributed to such a horrible run. It may have had an effect, but there's no way to really tell for sure. Firstly, the humidity was at 98% and the dew point was really high, which made sweating less effective because your body was like unable to cool itself down. So this may have had an effect at why I blew up running marathon pace. I don't know. The second thing is my foot injury and the time off feet during the week leading up to the race. So I rested essentially from Monday to Friday, the week of the event. At the start of the week, I picked up a foot injury. On Tuesday, I went to go for my shakeout run and I physically couldn't run. Like my toe was getting a sharp pain shooting up through the middle toe, which made me unable to run. So I decided to rest my foot so that I would have the best chance to race on Saturday. So I rested it all the way until the shakeout Friday afternoon. I was pretty much just praying that when I ran on Friday afternoon that I would have no foot pain and I would be fine to run on Saturday. So the race itself was like up in the air for the entire week leading up. I was stressing. I saw a podiatrist on Thursday afternoon and he assured me that I could run. It may be painful, but I can run. And he also said that if I ran, I wouldn't do any lasting damage, which was one of the things I was worried about, because it's one thing to just go out there and goggins it and push through the pain, but I didn't want to like be out of running for the next 4 weeks after the run, just because I just wanted to push through and be hard. But he assured me that because there was no tendon, ligament or bone or like structural damage, then I wasn't going to do any further damage in that sense. So that was good news. But yeah, I think resting the full week of, and I didn't even do any cross training, which is I think it was a big mistake. And I think my legs were just lethargic and kind of switched off on me. My body must have just thought that the hard work was over, so it's time to relax now, and I relaxed a little bit too much. And when it came to performing on race day, they were just dead and just didn't have anything in them. So I pretty much ran every day for the last 20 weeks, and then I had 4 full days off training completely. So that's going to shock the body going back and trying to run a marathon faster than I ever have done before. So I guess, yeah, that can contribute to the marathon. But those things, they're all just what ifs. And yeah, I genuinely just think it wasn't my day. It was humid, my legs were heavy, and it just wasn't meant to be. But that's okay. I've come to terms with that now, and I'm already thinking about the next run. So what is next? I've had a lot of people message me, Gold Coast Marathon redemption, Gold Coast Marathon redemption. Are you doing the Gold Coast Marathon? You need redemption. So to answer all those questions all at once, I am doing the Gold Coast Marathon, but I'm doing it as a fun run. I've decided not to put the pressure on myself to run hard again. I genuinely just want to give the body a break, run easy, enjoy running without a schedule, without a plan for a little while, and then start building up for my next A race. So I'm going to be doing the Gold Coast double, which means I'm doing the half marathon on the Saturday, and I'm doing the full marathon on the Sunday. On that Sunday, my mate Tomo, who also blew up, he is going to be running as the 320 pacer. So we're just going to be running together, and I thought, yeah, let's actually enjoy a marathon for once. And yeah, just want to try to enjoy the marathon and enjoy that weekend and have a bit of fun. So my next key race is going to be the Sunshine Coast Half Marathon. Once I've done the Gold Coast Double, I'm pretty much maybe going to have an easy week, and then I'm going to get straight into a half marathon training block, or just focusing my training more towards the half marathon, try to get as fast as I can and hopefully PB at the Sunshine Coast. Then shortly after that, I'm running the Sydney Marathon. I'm doing this with Before You Speak Coffee. They're nice enough to be flying me down there for the run. I'm so thankful to them, and they are such an epic company. So yeah, I feel really blessed to be working with them, and they believe in me enough to send me down for the Sydney Marathon. So that Sydney Marathon is going to be in preparation for my goal race for the end of the year, which is going to be the Melbourne Marathon. I dare say I'm going to be going for the sub 245 once again if the goal hasn't changed. If it does change, it will be slightly faster, because again, I do believe that I have a 245 effort in me like right now. It just didn't add up for me right on the day. So in another 4 or 5 months of training, who knows what I'll be capable of. But yeah, going to be doing another 245 series in the lead up to the Melbourne Marathon. Like, I had an overwhelmingly good response from the Noosa Marathon prep series. You guys seem to really like it. I've enjoyed making it. So yeah, we're going to be bringing that back for the Melbourne Marathon, which is in October, so near the end of the year. But that's essentially my race schedule, my race calendar, and what's coming up next. Once again, guys, I want to thank you all for supporting this series. I'm signing off. This is my final Noosa Marathon episode. I want to again thank all the sponsors for supporting me throughout this series as well. LSKD, Saucony, Coros, Before You Speak, and Aid Station. You guys have all believed in me throughout this prep, and I couldn't thank you guys all enough. And yeah, signing off for one final time. Thanks for watching the Noosa Marathon series, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.